All right, so I want to have a little workshop today on using the Google Co-op, right, which is a new system that enables you to create customized search engines. And I want to focus specifically on education, although there are other people that have emailed me that have other applications for research, for example, or library. And I'll be willing to do pretty much anything you want, but I want to mainly focus on the educational aspects because I think in our university setting, that's probably where we'll get the most bang for this. So the opportunity here, if you have not noticed, is the quality of university level open educational content has been increasing rapidly. A few years ago, if you tried to find content on the net, it was pretty laughable what you'd get. I mean, if you, for example, in chemistry, you'd have a few definitions, you'd have a few things, but it was not in a coherent, high-level type of delivery. And that's something that has really changed, and it's changing very quickly. And I'll show you the resources that I use for my class, and I'm sure that in other areas it's pretty similar, and I'll help you to find those as well. I'll give you some places to start. Now, what is available now in terms of educational modalities? We have recorded lectures, so that's something that's new in the sense of people actually making them open. It's my understanding that many people had been doing recordings over many years, if you consider audio, certainly many years. But recently, there have been a lot of people who've just been putting up their lectures, either screencasts or videos, and they're extremely high quality. And I'll show you in organic chemistry who those people are, and I'm sure again in your area there are others, and I can help you find those. The other very useful modality that's come out is interactive tutorials and quizzes. So I will show you what I have found for organic chemistry, and it's pretty impressive what people have put out there that's completely freely available. So there's no charges, there's no login, there's nothing like that. You just basically go and use their resources. And I'll show you that I can actually create assignments to these materials that are online. And the last thing, which a lot of people find hard to believe, but there are actually quite a few fully free online textbooks out there. And we're talking here about 1,000-page documents that are exactly at the same level as the books that you'd find in the bookstore. And obviously there are consequences for that, and I think that's going to change education in the future. And I want to show you what some of these look like and where possibly to find these, because I think that if you can offer a resource that doesn't cost students $150 to take your class, that may be something that is very appreciated. Okay, so these things are available, but there is a challenge. Even though there are gems out there, the quality is variable. So if you go on Google and you try to search for something, maybe you'll find it on the first page, maybe you'll find it at the end of the third page. There's no way to predict exactly how long it's going to take you. And if you want to assist a student, for example, with their work, you don't want to be spending your time going through each hit and to explain to them why this is not a good thing, right? You want to be able to go directly to the content that you have validated, that you think is actually worthwhile. Now, there are some top-down efforts, okay, like the MIT OpenCourseWare. There are a number of these systems established by generally universities to give sort of templates for people to upload their courseware. The difficulty I've found with those is, again, it's uneven. You may, in fact, find the course that you're looking for, but it will not have all the material that you need to teach. So, like, for example, in the MIT OpenCourseWare, in my area in organic chemistry, there is not yet, fully recorded lecture archives. Now, there may be in the future, but right now that's not the case. In your area, however, there may be a lot of material that can be used. And so you basically just have to look for it. But you can't rely on one source. And so basically you need skills to be able to ferret this out. Now, what I've found that's very interesting is students will actually supplement their information sources spontaneously. How do I know that? Because my courses are free and available, and I get emails from students saying, I appreciate your course. They're taking their course at another university, and they don't like the way that it's presented, so they're looking around and they're finding these other resources. Maybe the way that I do it is better for some students. Maybe the way that somebody else does it is better for another one. But the bottom line is that students are supplementing their resources, and so the question is, how can we guide them so that if they're going to be doing that, even if you still want to use a textbook and all that, if you give them supplementary material, how can you guide them, to something that's going to be worthwhile? So one of the ways of doing this is to just actually list the resources one by one. So this is in all my organic chemistry classes, I have this resources page on my wiki. And you'll see here the Roche Virtual Organic Textbook. You'll see the Daily and Daily Textbook. These are all full textbooks that are fully free and online. You'll also see some tutorials. And then there are specific universities that have problem sets that one organic chemistry faculty happened to put, but it's not enough for me to take just that one resource. All right. So what I want to do is to collect all these disparate pieces and put them together into a format that I validated and that students can use. This works okay for some students. And by the way, at the bottom here, I had mentioned the recorded lectures. So there are my lectures here. And for organic chemistry, there's Claude Winter at Haverford, and Berkeley has actually a very extensive collection of, they're actually the videos of the classrooms. So that's a place that you definitely want to look if you're looking for lecture archives. Now, the issue here is a student, so these are the resources that they can use, but still, they have to find what they're looking for within all of that. So I still provide this, but what the search engine tool lets you do is to actually put these all in one search engine. So I'll show you that in a minute. The other thing that you can do besides just, slapping a bunch of links on there and having, the student go and hunt for stuff, one thing that I've started to do this term is to actually put links from my syllabus that's detailed, every single item that I cover in class, and put the links to the online textbook, not just the general textbook, but the actual paragraph if I can, or chapter that I'm trying to reach. And so again, this is even more convenient for the student as they're going through, and it'll be interesting to see. I'm still providing the lecture archives, but I'm providing this as well with the same content, and it'll be interesting to see what, if students find one more convenient than the other. But the point is that it's all available for them.
How would you know which they find more useful? Asking them or link?
How will I know that they're using it? I'll basically just give them a survey. Yeah, I'll probably do a couple of WebCT surveys to find out what's going on. And also during workshops, students, I ask them how they're looking for information, and so actually some of these resources are used and some aren't. I'll be going through this a little bit when I go to the actual wiki. This is just a picture of it. You can also link directly to practice problems. So if you have a textbook and you're used to actually linking to, do questions 2, 3, 4 from chapter 3, you can actually oftentimes link to a specific question set that is exactly what you're looking for to test your students on. And again, this is what I'm finding for organic chemistry. It'll be different for every field. And, some are better than others, and, there is a redundancy there that's really nice. So if you don't quite like this particular way of doing things, or if the content, if there's an overlap with material that you didn't cover, for example, that you can piece these things together. And these can be very sophisticated, actually. Some of these you have to draw molecules, and it's very nice. One of the things that I've started to do that I haven't seen is out there is to put these pictures of problems, and the student is expected to actually do the whole problem. And when they click on it, it takes you to YouTube to a 1 to 3 minute solution, me explaining that problem. And that's something, again, that's public, and so now other teachers can use that if they want to, and they can link right down to the question, which is very nice. All right, so you can piece those together. Yes. Berkeley for lecture archives, for video, is excellent. Yes, they have a pretty extensive collection. And they don't advertise it very much, but if you just go on Google and you look for stuff, it will pop up. Researchchannel.org. Well, I think also Stanford, right, is on the Google Video. They have their own channel, things like that. So, you know, again, you have to look for it. It's not going to be handed to you. You have to actually do a little bit of legwork. But once you find these things, you know, it's pretty tremendous. Okay, so now let me get to the final level here, right? So I showed you just dumping stuff on a page. Then I showed you specifically going link by link. The other thing you can do is you can take all those resources and you can convert them into a customized search engine. And that's what Google Co-op does, actually. So there's a way to do this. It's all free. It's all very easy to do. But if you've never done it or if you haven't come across it, you know, that's why I'm holding the workshop. So by the end of this, you should have your own customized search engine. And, you know, I'll keep helping you after we leave here. But, you know, it's very, very simple what you need to do. Okay, so what kind of resources can you put into this search to the search engine? Well, of course, online textbooks, Wikipedia even. Now that's always a hot button, right, with teachers. Some say they absolutely hate it. Some say it's actually pretty good. In my experience, it's actually pretty good for organic chemistry. It actually filled some nice holes between textbooks at the level, especially at the level of definitions, where you don't want to go into extreme detail of what, you know, every person has done in the past, but you want a really solid definition and solid examples. Wikipedia is actually really good. And the nice thing about this customized search engine is if you don't like it, you can remove it. Or if you like only certain pages in Wikipedia, you can add those specifically. And so that's something that is very nice. You can also link to documents, PowerPoint, Word documents, PDFs. The other thing that I do is I link to transcripts of my lectures. So all my lectures are recorded, and there's a service for a couple $100 a term where you can actually get the transcripts, and it's pretty good. At least for chemistry, they have chemists that are part of their group. So I'll talk to you about that if you're interested. And of course the syllabus. So everything that you covered. Okay, so how do you do this? How many people here have Gmail accounts? All right, so you guys can actually get going right away. In your Gmail account, when you look at the top right, you'll see all my services. When you click on that, the co-op option should show up somewhere in that list. For the first time, I'm not sure if it shows up exactly that position, but you should be able to find it pretty easily. If you don't have a Gmail account, I'd be happy to invite you. Once you have it, it's very easy. You can invite up to 100 people. But I saw an option as we were working through this that I don't think you actually need a Gmail account to create one of these. But we'll see when we actually try to do it. Okay, so some of the specific resources. So now we're looking for sources of information that we can use to put in our search engine. There are these wikis out there and blogs and all these kinds of things, like the Stingy Wiki, which is, you know, lists of free educational material. So they have courses and lectures, ebooks, research aids, whatever you want. Textbook Revolution is just dedicated to free online textbooks. So there's a lot of stuff out there. So you really have to look in your area to see what's available. Like I said, I found in organic chemistry that it's really rich. And of course, you can always just search Google to try to find these resources as well. All right. So, but you have to dig through to find out what's worth keeping and not. Okay. So what I'd like to do first is show you a little bit what these things look like. So the wiki address for my current class in organic chemistry, chem242.wikispaces.com. I have a link. The first link is to the content page. Okay, so what you see at the very top here is the actual search bar for the customized search. And then you have all the different items that I cover in my class and links directly to the book. So for example, alkynes nomenclature, the student is responsible for knowing how to draw a molecule from the name, and if they want information on that, they click on this link and it takes them to this the book I tend to use the most. It was just the Reusch book for organic chemistry, and if you go through this, it's very detailed, it's very, very complete as to what it covers. You can open up, you know, the paper, any of the paper textbooks and compare them, and you'll find the same information. But of course, it has the advantage that I can actually link to this thing and anyone in the world can directly go to it. So there's no password or anything like that. One of the interesting things that has come from trying to put these search engines together is you have some online resources that are 100% free, like the Daily and Daily Organic Chemistry book, 1,200 pages. All right, it's free, but it's unusable for the search because there is a registration, and so it will not be indexed by your search engine. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you're interested in generating materials. Try, if you can, to not have anything, any kind of obstacle for the search engine to be able to index your site, because the information is just not obtainable. And you'll notice here that in this particular textbook, there are problem sets. All right, so if I wanted to practice that, I can just click, and there's all kinds here of ways to do that. Okay, so these are links. The other thing is I can actually list the practice problems that I want to assign. All right, so I can go through and look at this. They all cover the same thing. It's just that they do it in slightly different ways. And then the third way is with these pictures, that these are problems that are a little bit longer to do, and when the student is expected to do them, and then when they click on that picture, it takes them to the YouTube solution. Okay, so these solutions are like 1 to 3 minutes, and so they're very nice because you can actually assign them, and students can subscribe to your YouTube feed and get these automatically as you're doing them. Okay, but now let's go to the actual search. Okay, so I have actually a collection, right, of resources that I put together. So if I were to search for something like vitamin C, it's actually taking me directly to a textbook entry. All right, so this is, all right, you'll notice that it looks sort of like the Roche book, but it's not. It's just a different online textbook. Same information presented in a slightly different way, different problem sets, but it's there. So if the student wants to dig in further, they can just do that. And when you're typing vitamin C, you're actually searching within the context of high quality organic chemistry solutions. So that means that it's going to be always within the context that you want your students to be searching. Okay. Now let's take a look at the other ones that we can do. So what I've done is I've created a wiki. If you have your laptop with you, you want to take a look at this, mysearch.wikispaces.com. I'm going to leave this up. I put in some initial links. So my organic chemistry one is here. All right, if you click on it, you'll actually go to that search page. This is the same thing that is actually embedded in my wiki. But I've listed some other ones that I've done. For example, I have one here, immunogerontology. So when I click on this one, and now I type vitamin C, I'm searching within the context of aging, immunity, and so what I'm finding very quickly is, the survey of older people found numerous vitamin and mineral deficiencies. It's taking me directly within the context, so I'm not sidetracked with things that I don't want students to have access to, or things that could confuse the student. All right, Google also has one, curriculum search engine, which is specifically for this computer. Let me see if I search for Visual Basic. Okay, so this one is for computers. So basically it found homework for. So these are things that the person who created this wants students to be able to access problems or chapters. I didn't put this together, so I don't know what kind of space I'm searching, but I know that it's something that is within. Yes, this is one of the Google picks. And in fact, if I go down here, I put directories here. So if you want to look at the ones that Google thinks are great, these are not all about education. Right, these are mainly going to be about computers, of course, and business. But you can get an idea of what kind of things that people put together. So I gave you a couple of directories here that you can look at to find stuff. Now, besides teaching, what else can you use this for? Well, I use it for my research. So my research is put up on blogs and wikis, and it's totally open, so therefore it's searchable. So here, I don't think we ever used vitamin C, but if I type benzene, for example, it's taking me only to the research. Right? So when I click on that, it takes me to that specific page where I summarize the research that we did on this work. So this covers, you know, all of the blogs, all of the wikis, and whatever else I think is useful into one consolidated search. So it's very, very nice to give to people. The other issue that was emailed to me is to look at funding at Drexel. Is the person here who emailed me about that? Yes. Okay. So this is what I did a little bit. I put this on a wiki. One of the reasons if people brought their laptops, feel free to update it. If you want to come up with a new topic, or if you want to create another Google Co-op search, you know, we can do that, some of that today, and then you can keep following it. So this one, what happens when you go here, all right, is I have the option of searching, of course, but I can also edit the search, and I made this one open. So if you actually go on here right now, and if you have a Gmail account, you're set up. You just log in with your username and password. If you don't, I think it'll ask you to create an account, although I'm not sure if that is actually a Gmail account. I think that may just be a user account. Okay, so you don't have to get a Gmail. That's great. So if you do that, then you can contribute to this search. Okay, so you have a choice as the person who creates it to make it open or closed. And you may want to make it open for a couple of weeks as you collaborate with people and then close it. There are all kinds of ways that you can do this. And it's really very convenient. So if I click on edit the search, all right, here's my name, chemistry funding, description, all the chemistry funding available for Drexel University. That was my guess based on what you were saying.
Well, actually, I was looking at research.
Federal funding for chemistry. But let me show you what I picked, and you can tell me if it makes sense. So when you go to this control panel, there's a lot of stuff here. You know, you can go to the advanced search. You can do all kinds of things with XML, but I don't want to do that. I just wanted to show you the very basic, and then, you know, if it comes to that, you can look. But if you click on the sites, this is the one that you're going to be using most often. I listed 3 sites. All right, so I have chemistry.org/star-research. What that means is basically in chemistry.org, that's where, you know, one of the funding opportunities was, okay? But they had all kinds of other things on that site. Okay, so what I noticed is that they had under research, they had information that was specifically related to research, okay? So what you can do is you can say, I want everything that starts with www.chemistry.org/ and then anything with, exactly, in the URL with research. Okay, so that's one way of specifying more what you want. You can also link directly to a PDF file. So this, for example, this is that one PDF about that one funding opportunity, and it's indexed because it's not a PDF that's scanned, it's a PDF that actually has text in it. So I just wanted to show different kinds of things that you could put on here. The other thing is, of course, the research.drexel.edu/research. So anything that will be under that URL will be found. Now, one of the things that I found, for example, is that you had like compliance information on there, and that's probably not what you want to search, right, with the search engine.
No, not at all. I'm searching.
Right. So you want Drexel faculty to be able to search for funding opportunities related.
And it will help them, you know, build these searches for the particular disciplines.
Right. So these are different examples of what you can do. I was showing this as there are different ways to do this. I mean, you can basically get very specific and link to everything, or you can do this, which is you link a little bit broader and then you subtract out. So here I'm excluding all of the stuff under compliance. So you have to play with it. You have to kind of prune it. You have to see what makes sense, what doesn't. And I just wanted to show you examples of different ways to do that.
Right.
So for example, if we want to test this out, let's say that I go to my search engines and then I go to chemistry funding homepage. So I don't know, if I type age, let's say. So it found Drexel University Research Report. Now that's something I don't know if you want it, because technically it's not available funding.
Right,
It's
on the
prior.
paper available.
It's prior funding, so
Right.
that's a decision that you have to make, and so you can easily remove it just by going to that site management tool. Okay, so and it also found this collection of links. So the other way that you would probably do most of this is by going through each one of the links to the databases and trying to figure out if you want the entire database or if you want only parts of it, and see if you can zoom in on chemistry. And again, if you want to start with that, I can definitely help you, give you feedback along the way.
I'd be interested.
So this one is open, all right? So what that means is that if you go to the mysearch.wikispaces.com, when you click on the chemistry research, you'll be able to edit that Google Co-op search.
Password.
It cannot be anything, right, that has username and password, right?
So if you,
Right, you can't use something like Community of Science that's a database you have to log in. And so that's kind of the analog shift that we're seeing, you know, in the education, right? You cannot link to a book that has username and password. You can't link to publisher material that requires students to pay $10 a month or what, you know. So this is only for completely open and free resources. But and
open access journals, for example.
open access, but it has to be linkable with a URL, right? It has to be indexable. You can duplicate what a lot of these companies are doing, and that's exactly what you're doing here. In fact, is you are linking to what's already available.
If text paper, can you just put that link
The using the Drexel proxy will not work because you have to understand that Google has to index it. So Google can never have a password. It can never submit a password.
No, but it's just a thought.
Right. So you're talking about a special collaboration
Yeah.
between Google Co-op and Drexel. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you can do. I'm sure you can do additional things than what I'm
But
talking
you
about
can
here.
do in your
Yes. The integration with Google Scholar would be very interesting. I don't see a way of doing it easily, but I'd be willing to follow up with you to see. That would be very useful. Definitely. All right, so let's say we wanted to add one, all right? Because I want to show you a little bit of everything so you can know what to do. So I'm looking at the chemistry funding search, and I guess what I want to do is go to your, so it's research, and then you got funding links. So in fact, as Jay, as you said, the first thing I tried to do was to put the Community of Science, and of course it doesn't work. What about the next one here?
Oh, this is an old, this is not,
This is another one you want to use?
this is not the new website, actually.
Well, I just want to pick items from here. So let's say the cancer.org, if you wanted to add that. So what we have to see is when you do a search, do you know if they have research information on there?
The Cancer Society.
Is it down?
No, these are old pages.
Here, research program and funding, okay. So what I'm looking at is the top here. You notice when I change to this directory, the first part of the URL is like this, all right. Now it's got a .asp, so I'm losing confidence at this point, but we'll see. Funding opportunities, all right. Index of grants. All right, so I noticed that this part is not changing. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that, and let's pick something that we know exists in here. So we have basic, preclinical. All right, so we're going to try that. So now I'm going to go back to the sites list, and I'm going to say add sites. Okay, so I'm leaving it open-ended. You have two choices. You know, you can include all pages whose address contains this URL, which is generally what you want to do. Or if you wanted to do like put the star, you would select the bottom one and type something else. So I'm going to add that. All right, so I just added that. I'm going to go back to my search engines homepage. preclinical. All right, so I see that it did find some pages on the cancer.org. All right, so you'd have to look through that to see if all of that is relevant, and if it's not, then you'd have to go back and either filter it out or use a different. Okay, so again, it's a question of pruning to see what's possible or not. Yeah, so for computer problems, you can get hyper-specific, exactly, and construct something, using certain forums that, you found to be useful.
The Vista operating system.
Yeah, I'm sure, especially in computers, that's going to be probably the most heavily populated because people happen to be working in that. So yeah, so that's an opportunity. If you wanted to put something together, you can make that available for anyone to use.
Are there any copyright issues? Because I know Tim would be.
Well, the copyright, you're not accessing anything behind a database. You're not copying it. You're linking to it. So I can't imagine that that's going to be a problem. Now, if you take a document, you upload it on your server, and then link to it, you're not supposed to link to it. That's a different issue, of course. But no, I don't see a problem.
You're just providing an index.
Yeah, I'm just providing an index. Now, if you want to do, this is another little trick. This curriculum search engine. The other reason I mentioned it is because it makes use of another trick with the Google Co-op, which is this. So I'm looking for, again, let's go to the Visual Basic. See what it does here is it has these categories you can further refine. It's called a refinement tool. So you could do that. You could do all the funding at Drexel and then chemistry, physics, bio. And it would just pop up like links like this. So there's a lot I haven't shown you. Like I said, you can actually construct XML to do the searches. You can get very, very advanced. But just for the basics, I think you could probably do most of what you need to do. So go to that wiki page. If you want to update your stuff there, I'll be happy to work with you. The search that I started for you, for example, that's under my name. You probably don't want that. You probably want to recreate it so that you get to control it.
Exactly.
So all you have to do is just look at the sites that I'm listing and just recreate it.
But I'll be able to get to
Yes, you have access because it's open. All the ones that I created are, well, not for my class, but the ones that I created for you are open to anyone. Anyone can add a site. But I'd like to collect these because I'd like to, keep a list of them to show people how it's done. And I think there's enough need from from you guys who have emailed me. Definitely, I think that it's a very good solution to your problem. And I'd like to hear back, see how it works out.